So number 6 on the list of 6 most important pioneers in robotics, but number 1 in my heart, is Oussama Khatib.
Wow. Thank you, Seth. So I'm supposed to give a summary of this session, and I'm going to start at the 15th century before Christ. So let's see. Well, I mean, really the truth is we always looked for this idea of something intelligent, a machine that captured that intelligence. And the Egyptian worked on it. In fact, the Babylonian worked on it as well. And it took long time to get to where we are today. The automaton of Hero of Alexandria, these fountains, are quite amazing. They didn't have motors, they didn't have electricity, and they managed to do things that we couldn't imagine possible. Well, maybe the first book of robotics was written many centuries ago, and even the concept of a humanoid robot was there. In fact, we are all familiar with Leonardo's robotic knight. So these developments were really limited by the technology that we found finally in the 20th century that brought those machines that we know. Ideas about surgery that make use of prosthesis, limbs, all of those things, a lot of development were done in the past. Of course, the mechanical automaton of the 18th century were amazing. I happen to have some nice videos of those drawers, musician, and writer. So how can you do this? How can you draw with a machine? Where is the computer? Here is the computer. So these mechanical systems that built all these springs and their motion and all the here they are. You can see the motion now with many springs and many switches, allowing the writer to perform. Well, then finally we get to the physical robot in the 20th century when we invented electricity, motors, and developed the mechanism. And still, it was really inheriting much of those machines that numerical machines that didn't really have computers. When we get the computers, you know, the first robots were called computer-controlled machines. The first machines came to be teleoperators, and teleoperators continue to be today in many different forms. But that work that was developed in that period was really the beginning of what made automation. Automation benefited from robotics, but somehow we overestimated robotics in the 70s and 80s. That led to some challenges for robotics and the research in robotics. It was only in the 90s that we started to see robotics exploring ways of getting out of just the industrial application outside of manufacturing. And Helpmate, if I recall, was one of the first attempts to do that, although initially helpmate was supposed to have the arms and the capabilities. And what really happened with manipulation and mobility came together with the design of the humanoid robot of Honda Ashimo. So one thing about our ICRA, I mean, if you remember, those of you who remember the 80s, robotics was all over the place in different fields, in electrical engineering, computer science, meetings. And really, ICRA brought a home to the whole community of robotics and helped bringing much of connections between the different sub-communities within the field. So ICRA was really an important development that came to propel robotics into the development that we have seen since the 80s. The strategic goal of our community has been always for outreach, scientific research collaboration across the world, all the regions, and all the different organizations. So in 2000, there was the Millennium Meetings, and that Millennium Conference, we had a very interesting crossing of the robotics that is moving towards the new frontiers. I mean, robots in the past were always associated with industrial manufacturing tasks. And let me show you a little bit the state that we had in the year 2000. So 40 years ago at Stanford, there were a few development going on. Let me show you just very briefly. This is called a VCR, by the way. Checkmate. Thank you very much for your attention.
We have time for a question for Professor Khatib.
Did I win the €5 or
No, you did not win the €5.
Oh.
In fact, you
tried.
may contribute to the fund. Are there any questions? And again, wave your hand wildly. I don't see any yet.
There is one there.
Is there one? There's one. Yep.
Beautiful talk. I guess you showed us the last few thousand years of robotics. What do you think the next big, you could say 20 years, if you prefer, will be?
Thank you for this question. Well, I mean, we saw robotics developing, and there were moments and times with hype and over-speculation about robotics. We saw slow down. But this time, robotics is coming back very strongly. There is a convergence of technologies from mechanical engineering, new sensors, new material, new fabrication methods, to powerful computing, to powerful algorithms, and also to the maturity of this field. And all of this is really contributing to probably miracles that we are going to see. So I'm very, very optimistic about robotics. But we have really to build that community. Robotics is multidisciplinary, and without the multidisciplinarity, we will not be able to move as fast as we wish. So this is our challenge. But yes, robotics is going to be very, very successful in the coming years.
Great. Looking forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.